today we're procedurally generating a planet. Set up button planets and stars and star systems and space stations to buy and sell from. It's going to be a really ambitious day. I hope you enjoy today as we do it. Put the record on. Like I said, we're generating this thing in a galaxy. So I'm a software engineer. I'm a very advanced software engineer, and I've God on my side. But I'm intimidated, man. Here's the prayer I actually said to God, man. We're going to start with a prayer. I always want to start good thing with prayer. God, help me make a universe. Small prayer for a large task. You're larger than anything you made. Lordy God. I feel intimidated by the vastness of the task, like it's a mountain, but space is bigger. I was small and intimidated. Please help, oh great Jehovah. This thing. And then like what I'm doing is I'm looking through different the different types of planets. It's like I wanna have a little bit of scientific knowledge behind my back before I make like I see here terrestrial planets and Jovian planets. The Jovian planets like the gas moons, right? It's like but like terrestrial planets have no rings. So if I put rings on a terrestrial planet, I look like dumb. I mean, I already look dumb. I'm not. I don't have my webcam on. Don't want you to see how dumb I look. But I'm trying to get some stuff. So a planet generator, planet generator. Let's just try and put something in the background. It's usually planet generations. Here we go. Just leave it in the background. We have to leave a lot of osmosis in the
Hi
background today.
everyone, in this series we'll be looking
Turn
at
it off.
procedurally generating some simple but fairly diverse planets. These planets are mainly intended to be viewed from afar, as a level of detail system will not be implemented in this series.
This looks really
The
cool.
first task is to create a sphere, but
Sure.
not all spheres are created equal.
I'm actually liking this guy
This one,
already.
for example, is made up of triangles which get smaller and
I
smaller
want to
through
watch
the
this guy for a little bit.
walls, which means we'd get a rather uneven distribution of detail in our planet. A sphere like this is much nicer because all the triangles are roughly the same. However, each time we increase the detail, the number of triangles increases fourfold, which doesn't give us as much control as we'd probably like.
Uh-huh.
Instead, we're actually going to start with 6 separate planes,
Is it
making a
code?
cube. We'll then essentially inflate this to get our sphere. As you can see, the triangles are all more or less the same size, and we also have quite fine control over the number of triangles. As a further benefit, if you want to add a level of detail system, it's a lot easier to do with this approach because you can divide the faces of the underlying cube into smaller
Whatever,
chunks.
dude. Look at the
3, and we can just
get the pay dirt.
axis B.
I think it's talking
Finally,
about
so
accessing
now
each
the
individual mesh node. I
down
was looking at that the other day.
array
Yeah, I don't want
is
to. I don't want to
equal to
actually do
null.
it, dude. Like planet generator, planet possibilities. Uh, if you go, a ring. I just look at planet possibilities. Rings, moons. I try ring system. Okay, let's just start with a ring system. It's better. I want general lore right now. What are these
You'll
things?
have 5 seconds to solve the following anagram. Ready?
It says like looks like No Man's Sky. That's good.
To kick off today's video, I've got a little brain teaser for you all. You'll have 5 seconds to solve the following anagram. Ready? Go. It's pretty tricky, right? Maybe if we plugged this into an anagram solver, it would be able to work it out.
Whatever, dude.
And nobody. This message was published.
Hey, what? I just would fast forward this. Huh? Come on.
It was Galileo Galilei, a planet both from the host planet and from the moons elsewhere in the system. Inlet in a ring system can be thought of as its own tiny moon.
There we go.
Rings deduced that this was a ring system independent to the body of Saturn, and in doing so, he opened up a new paradigm in planetary science.
Okay, so rings.
And bedazzling rings
So okay, so terrestrial. So that was a
new technology has led us to discover ring systems all over the solar system
terrestrial.
and elsewhere in the galaxy.
No ring.
This incredible,
2 moons or less.
phenomenon is going to be our topic today.
Small, rotate slower, rocky, close to sun. All right. Okay, so we'll make this just a general thing. Still playing over there?
A planetary ring system is a flat,
Jovian,
collection,
aka gas, I guess.
chunks, known as moonlets, which are orbiting along the ecliptic plane of a planet. As planets rotate, the force exerted causes them to bulge slightly at their equators. This defines an equatorial plane for the planet, along which satellite material tends to orbit. As such, the moonlets within a ring system experience only very minor vertical
So
motion.
moonlets, like little micro
Moons
moons.
can be
Okay.
millions of kilometers in diameter.
So basically a bunch of little micro
and
asteroids.
only a few dozen meters thick.
A few dozen meters thick.
The structure of these systems
So that'd be like
impressively
50
complex,
meters.
sculpted by gravity.
Bunch of asteroids,
both
dude.
from the
It's a little
host
micro
planet
asteroid field
and
there.
from the moons elsewhere in the system. Within the vicinity of a ring system, the tidal stresses from the parent planet are too strong for the moon-forming process of co-accretion to occur. And so rather
Wait,
than
hold on.
connecting to
Hold
form
on. I almost
moons,
understood that. Let's watch it
both
again.
from the host planet and from the moons elsewhere in the system. Within the vicinity of a ring system, the tidal stresses from the parent planet
Tidal
are too
stress.
strong for the moon-forming process of
Tidal stress.
co-accretion to occur.
So what's tidal? I need to look up. I know. I kind of got it. It's like the how big it is. The gravitation. Tidal stress is basically the gravitation of your stuff. Tidal stress. I like this is important stuff to know. This is what I want. Stress is caused by tidal forces. Tidal force. Ooh. Tidal force is a gravitational effect that stretches along towards the center of mass. It is responsible for diversifying tidal locking. See, I think it's because it's so big, it gets bigger tidal stress. So the moons can't coalesce. Like I guess it like rips apart the moon, like the stress. Like it's like. Oh, distort. Okay, so the tidal stress of how big it is. Here's tidal stress. Tidal acceleration. Understand these things. Force is the radius away from it times the gravitational constant, the mass of the one times the radius for the centers. Mm-hmm. Dude, if I had time, I would love to do this equation and see how much force you need to rip apart a moon. That could be an expansion. Right now, we're just like there's a time and place when you're like your world building gets too realistic, you know, and you're like oh I could spend like the next 3 weeks figuring out how much force like if you put too much cargo on a moon, like say you have a planet that's like nearly ripping apart its moon, right, and then you start just depositing capital ships onto that planet. How much gravity does it need before it starts ripping apart its moon? Probably like tons, right? You know, like maybe how many you might have to put like another stack another planet on there. But like that would take a long time, and like it's just one really small thing. It'd be like it would be nice to be playing a game. Oh my god, he put so much stuff, ripped apart the moon, and that's where the enemy base was. And now they're ripped apart, and they're on a ring, accretion ring. But like, yeah, maybe like years in the future when we want to get frick trippy. All right. So anyway, I got this. So that's cool.
To form new moons,
I
the
understand
moonlets
this.
within a ring system are
Alright.
kept in a fine state.
All right.
They can be anywhere from molecule size
I'm leaving it on the
to
background for
powder size,
osmosis.
but they don't get any larger than that.
How it says.
Each individual moonlet in a ring system can be thought of as its own tiny moon,
Moonlet.
taking its own path around the planet. Planets on the inner part of a ring system complete orbits quicker than those on the outside,
Okay.
which causes the disk to fragment into several narrower, denser.
Wait, which one go faster?
moonlets.
I'm thinking inside.
To house-sized, them complete orbits quicker than
Yeah,
those
inside.
on the
Yeah,
outside,
inside it's like a track meet.
which
Yeah.
causes the disk to fragment into several narrower, denser, so-called ringlets. And they themselves are made up of dozens
Rings.
of even smaller ribbon
Moonlets.
lanes of particles. Of course, Saturn's rings are by far the most fantastic, and indeed the most studied in the solar system. But the Voyager spacecraft in the 1980s revealed to us that each of the 4 gas giants houses a ring system.
Houses.
Each varies wildly in its composition, arrangement, and overall substantiality.
Thanks, God. That's cool.
The rings of Saturn are made up of highly reflective water ice.
Water
whereas
ice.
The rings of Uranus are made from organic material as dark as charcoal. Jupiter's enormous yet faint ring system is composed mostly of ancient dust, and Neptune's rings are a mixture of dust and shredded rocks floating around in the darkness. We don't fully understand the underlying mechanisms that connect these ring systems, and it's likely that each has a different story to tell.
It's funny that Uranus is made of organic
Ring
material.
systems
Sorry.
almost certainly need moons to be both created
Oh
and
god, I'm
sustained.
terrible.
If it were not for the tidal interactions and orbital resonances of the gas giants'
This is
moons,
quite interesting.
much
This guy
of the
gets an
material
upvote.
we see in their ring systems would be flung out into space. Therefore, it may be the case that ring systems exist wherever there are moons to be found, not just around gas giants, but around Earth-sized worlds, brown dwarfs, infant stars, dwarf planets.
Ooh, a moon with
even the moons
moonlets?
themselves.
Can the moonlets have
Any
moonlets?
world can have
Moonlet,
a ring
moonlet,
system
moonlet.
if the prerequisites are right. But what are those prerequisites? Well, there are two main hypotheses for how ring systems
That's a big
come
one.
to be formed. The first hypothesis states that ring systems can be formed during the birth of the parent planet, from leftover dust and material which is too close to the planet's surface to be able to coalesce into a moon. The second is the breakup hypothesis, which states that rings are the result of shattered moons, which either got
Ooh,
too close to
shattered
their parent
moons.
planet, or were involved in a collision which shredded them down into chunks which dissolved. In both cases, the gravity of the host planet plays a key role. Where two celestial bodies of differing masses exist, for example,
Trippy.
a large planet and a small
Alright, well,
planet,
anyway.
there comes a distance between the two objects, known as the Roche limit, where the tidal stresses from the larger body will exceed the smaller body's ability to keep itself held together,
Crush
causing
it.
the smaller
Crush
body
it.
to be pulled
Yeah.
down and dissolved into moonlets.
Moonlets.
This material
Alright,
then
I'm wasting too much time
on
on
the
it.
common plane
I'm
of the
excited for
planet
this.
into a disk
It's too much information.
comprised
There's not enough
of 10
information. Like,
individual
I want to know
chunks,
what type of
each
things are on the
with
outside.
more mass than the moon that came before it.
Rings and
And
moons.
because they lie within the
Is there anything
Roche
other
limit
than
of
rings
their
and moons?
host,
Like I got
they
disappointed.
find
I'm like, what else is there? That could be around the
that
planet.
something
Rings
larger
and moons and
is
freaking rings and moons are the same thing.
tidal forces will
That
break it
disappointed me a
apart.
little bit, though it intrigued me.
Calculation becomes impossible.
Oh, it's a restroom. I'm just gonna let this
Of
run for
course,
you
the
guys.
more massive an object's
We're
mass,
generating
its
galaxy. I'm
ability
just trying to get
to
some
keep itself
information,
held
a little bit of
together through
information before we
gravity.
get booking.
And so that's why
You
we
know,
see
you
moons
want to do a little
orbiting
information
in,
before we get
around, and
booking.
between ringlets without breaking up. Their gravity is much
Ringlets.
stronger than that of the moonlet
Ringlets.
chunks, and so
Three
they would
ringlet
need to get a
circus.
lot closer to the parent planet before they succumbed to tidal forces. Such a fate awaits Neptune's moon of Triton in about 3.5 billion years. Triton's decelerating orbit is bringing it ever closer to Neptune, and it will eventually draw so close that it will be ripped apart by tidal forces, forming bright and brilliant new icy rings around the planet. This is how we think Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and the dwarf planet Haumea got their rings. As for Jupiter, well, they are more likely to be primordial in origin, and so it would seem that we have evidence of both ring-forming hypotheses playing out right here in our own backyard. But of course, Jupiter's ancient and tenuous ring system is nothing when compared to that of its sibling. In fact, nothing quite compares to the rings of Saturn. They are by far the planet's most distinguished feature, and indeed one of the most breathtaking sights in the solar system, stretching out into space and gleaming under the light of the sun. The rings extend over the 140,000 kilometers, more than twice that of Saturn itself, yet they are only around 20 meters thick on average. The striking, shining protuberances they give Saturn stuck out to early astronomers, where other ring systems remained hidden. As we mentioned at the start, it was Galileo who first noticed Saturn's rings, but he was unable to accurately describe them, initially mistaking them for handles or ears of the large planet. It took another 5 decades for us to realise that the rings are not part of the planet itself, and another 200 years to accept that the rings themselves are not a solid structure. Though they appear as one from the point of view of the Earth, The system is separated into several subdivisions labelled A through G, based on the order in which they were identified. The rings D, C, B, A and F lie on the inside, with E and G further out, separated by gaps and trails through which Saturn's moons have passed and cleared out material. These 7 main rings are themselves composed of much smaller ringlets. There may be as many as 500 to 1,000 of them in total. From the very inside, the rings would appear much like floating in a cloud of snowballs and snowflakes, with icy dust and hailstones streaming around in between. While the Cassini spacecraft didn't manage to get this close, it nonetheless revealed activity within the rings on wildly differing timescales, from months and years to just a matter of days. As moonlit chunks come together and interact, reverberations cascade through their surroundings, like gravitational ripples in a lake of ice. Given that the rings are so water ice rich, it's very unlikely that they are primordial in origin. If they had formed from the protoplanetary dust which gave rise to Saturn, then they would not be nearly this reflective. But instead, they shine due to their high water ice content. This suggests that the rings were formed through the breakup of one of Saturn's icy moons, a possibility proposed by none other than the architect of the Roche limit, Edouard Roche, in 1849. It is thought that a moon, perhaps similar to Titan or smaller, may have gotten too close to Saturn. Rather than the whole body dissolving completely, the ill-fated moon would have had its water ice mantle and crust ripped off by tidal stresses, leaving only the dense rocky core intact. The dead core of this moon would have fallen straight into the gas giant, with the residue of its icy exterior collecting into the ring system of particles that we see today, surviving over billions of years as one of the solar system's great wonders. These rings, in particular the E-ring, also receive a little extra assistance in staying so bright, thanks to Saturn's cryovolcanic moon of Enceladus, which erupts plumes of liquid water and water ice into space, feeding the E-ring and providing a fresh source of icy material. While not as bright, striking or complex as those of Saturn, the ring system surrounding Uranus is still both captivating and mysterious. Unlike Saturn, Uranus's rings do not shine. Quite the opposite, in fact. Its moonlets constitute dark and unreflective rocks between 20 centimeters and 20 meters in diameter, suggesting that they are made of organic materials such as hydrogen.
Yeah, let me start some breakfast. I got some ideas too. More than planets, I need to know what inhabits the planets, what type of system it is. We'll start with Master Orion 2's generator, because they have stars based on what you might find in the system, and it's good story for it, because you always want familiarity, what people are used to, and you know, there's other things that to generate. I got my mind's full of information right now. I'm full of it, you know.
Uranus's ring system
Let me just make myself some oatmeal. As I make myself some oatmeal,
making
like
them
I-
even
oh,
trickier to spot.
Grab the box.
Due to their low reflectivity,
So as I
it
make
didn't
myself
know
some
that these
oatmeal,
rings existed for the
I'm
longest time.
reminded that maybe
It was
like
only
metal
in
planets have more like
1977 when
mining
Uranus
material,
passed in front
and I
of a
want that
star
type of
that was
thing,
under
like more mining or
observation,
more
that we noticed
organics
the
or
rings
whatever
trailing the
in my
planet.
system because of
This transit allowed us to count 9 rings back
change
then,
the weights on the
and 2 more were
random
discovered in
encounters, right?
1986 when
When
we
we change
first
the
saw
weights
the
on
planet
random
up
encounters.
close through Voyager.
Got a bowl here. So I'm
The
gonna
most
bowl
substantial
fast.
ringlet is the epsilon ring, about
And
100
like I said,
kilometers
and
wide
because
and
the
no
whole
more than
game's
100
around random
meters deep,
encounters, right? Random
orbiting at
encounters,
twice
random
the
events,
distance of
and
Uranus's
also
outer
static encounters,
edge,
static events.
well within
And
the
it's like I
planet's
can't
Roche limit.
like if you have a universe with like
The
100 billion
epsilon
star
ring
systems,
probably
you can't
contains
reasonably
more than
put like a
10 times
quest
the
giver.
material
Hey,
of the other
go
10
give me some
rings
rabbit
put
pelts.
together.
You know, one guy.
Most
You
of
know,
the other
because then
rings
you have to
are
make
no
like
more than
100
around
billion
10 kilometers wide,
like
and this
like
rigorously fine structure
planets,
suggests
you
that
know.
something
And
is
then each
keeping
one
the
of the
ringlet
planets has like
bound tightly,
going to places to
preventing
be, you
material
know.
from
That's
spreading
doing
out
that's
into
doing. You
space.
can't do that. Like
So
without
what might
eternity,
be
it would
causing
still be
this?
annoying make like rabbit
Well,
bench
as
press
we
on
mentioned
doing the
earlier,
planets.
moons play a key role in
So
shaping
like
and
in
maintaining
order
moon
instead of doing
systems.
that, I change it to
And
all
in
random
addition to its
events. You know,
rings,
I just do random
Uranus
events.
is also home to no
Um,
less than
in
27
a random space
moons,
station, in a random
many of which
system,
are
right?
small
So now
but
what I
orbit
have to do
within the
now is I
ring
have to generate
system
my
and
random
exert
system.
tidal forces.
And you basically use
And this
Dungeon
is how
Dragons
your
watering
equations
monsters
stay so
tables
fine.
and
The
slap them in there.
epsilon
So we're
ring
making
is
we're making
circled
a
by two
universe, you
small
know.
moons,
It
each
should be
around
fun
50
today.
kilometers in
We should
diameter,
have a lot of fun today.
Cordelia and
And if we don't
Ophelia.
have a lot of fun today,
These
I don't
moons
know what we're doing
provide
today. This is a whole
like-for-like
day,
gravitational
live
kicks as
event.
they move round the
We're
ring
trying to do this
host.
all day long.
And
No,
as
I might not even
units
go to the
within
gym.
the
I
epsilon
might
ring
even
begin to
skank it up,
spread
not take a
out,
shower
the
until
two
like
moons
late
pass
night
either
tonight.
side,
But
and the balance of
I
gravity
don't
of
have a lot of
each
food here. That's
shepherds
gonna
the
be like a limiting
material back
factor.
into
I
place
have to
in
eat
the
a lot of
ring.
protein powder and oh
Thus,
my god,
Cordelia and Ophelia are
vegetables.
referred to
Dude,
as
protein powder and
shepherd
vegetables
rings,
sounds like I'm living in
satellites
space,
which
man.
exert
Get your
counterbalancing
protein pills
influences
and
on
put
particles
your
within the ring
helmet
system,
on.
neatly
Grab
preserving the
control the
structure in a
mails
never-ending game of
tone.
moonlit volleyball.
Really made the
A similar
grade.
process plays out within
Unlike my
Saturn's
singer, which is
rings.
just waking up today.
Areas in the F ring split and
Alright,
segment into
so we had
strands
enough of
which
this. We're going to look
diverge
at
from one another,
massive Run
but are
procedurally
pushed
generated.
back into
We
place
know
by
where we're going.
Saturn's
Okay,
shepherd
so I
rings
want to know what kind of
orbiting
anomaly this
its
means.
median.
I want to know what a ring was made of. Now I know it's all just
Neptune,
freaking
on the other
asteroids,
hand,
which makes
is
sense because
too
everything in
rough.
the universe is made of elements.
It
If it was made
comprises
of
narrow
pixie
rings,
dust and
similar to
like
Uranus,
unicorn
that
poop,
claim they
that'd
typically
been
orbit
weird, you
out
know.
into
So like
other satellites
so
within
we
them.
got this. Okay, we know what a ring's made out of. So
At first, it is barely noticeable.
so we
on
want
the
to
millions of
move
points of light
to
that cover the sky.
star
This area of space
bias
is dark and
generator.
illuminated
So like
as a
all this does is
under
based on the
light
star, you get
brilliant
different like
stars,
planet types. Okay.
crowding 100 million times more densely than they do around the Earth.
Here,
A
then.
central cluster of
West
suns
of
spinning
Orion
around at an incredible
to
pace, spiraling towards a
what's the star generator system generator? Okay, see. So like we're star types. Let's look for star types. That's all we need. Star types. Cause you can find what star type it is. Several stars. Um, uh, maybe I have to look for middle density. Cheat codes. Asteroid 2, star type, minerals. I might have to just Google this, right? It's this is yeah, this Master 2 is just the best. So let's look for I might have to look for it. Master of Orion 2 star types. Okay, Master Orion 6 star contains different types of planets. That's what I'm saying. This let's say. You can tell the star. So what makes this significant is you can tell what type of content it'll be by looking at the star, right? You look at like you're in the overall mini map. Okay, so I'm gonna show you this. Why is this significant? For me. So like we're gonna look for images. So here, you see this? You can tell by the color of the star what the system might contain, right? So you're here, you've never explored the yellow star, but you know it might contain maybe something, something, something. I don't know what the something, something, something is. I'm gonna go with Master Ryan 2's bias, but it's like it might be like more organic, might be good to settle. This blue one might have like more metals. I remember blue has metals because like it's an old star or something, and then there's like a new star and et cetera, et cetera. And you can tell by the colors what you want to get into, right? See how the background looks cool and there's nebula and stuff. I want that in my space in the skybox. And then when you fly, all this stuff will warp past you. All the colors and that will warp past you. All the nebulas will warp past you. Then when you stop, you take a screenshot of all that, and then like turn the game objects on, off, and then your warp is done. All right. So, but like for make these things like know where you want to warp to. You're like, oh look, it's a purple blue star orbited by a thing. I want to go there. Psh, you know it's good. So even though there's like there might be a million stars. There'll be like ones that like if you know how your star knowledge, your colors and stuff, you can get zip to the ones you want. Okay, that's why it's important to do this. That's why we're starting a Master Ryan 2, and because the design says you always want to start with what someone else has already done, we're going to go to Master Ryan 2 star system. So gas giants up to 5 orbital planets, gas giant asteroid belts. But let's start. So I can take 2 planets, regardless of tent. Arid, desert, volcanic. So that's good. That's good. Like I said, we need to get planet types. I have tons of planet types, dude. You don't even understand. I've been using Dolly Open AI, and it's been giving me ideas for planets that are like weird, like freaking like besides just industrial planets, I have ones that are like basically like mushroom planets and other. I can't show you all my AI pictures, but I'll show you some today. Actually, let's load up some of them right now. This is a cheat. If you don't want to be a spoiler, you don't want to see the talent tree, the full extent of the talent tree, then you don't want to watch this. But I'm going to show you what I've been working on like the last week. It's 72 pages of talents basically. It's a background, and then on top of the background, there's another background. On top of that background, there's another background. So it's a background on top of background on top of background. But the background on the back is, I think it's Andromeda Galaxy. Just something that looks spicy. And on top of that, it's like let's go here. Like just AI pictures. So let's zoom in. Like you see like there's like a derpy unicorn, some unicorns there. There's some mind trippy stuff over here. See mind trippy stuff. And that's just the background, right? And those would count as like a memory tiles. You get some mind trippy stuff. You collect enough of those, and it's like collecting cards, like achievements and stuff. And then there's all these different planets. Like there's even a planet that looks like people. Like these are the wisdom planets. The freaking wisdom guys. And there's planets that like just look like an explosion. What other planets you got going on here? There's a planet that looks like a core. And there's a planet that's like a metal disco planet. There's a celestial thing, and then there's freaking one's just like a rock. That's cheesy, but like there's an eyeball planet. I mean, like we're going there. I mean, this is tacky, but it's also not uninteresting. Ooh, we got some weird planets. Like there's a freaking like in the background. There's a disco dragon laying a disco ball with an egg. Like they got some really crazy, some space wizards. Like these guys look like the guys from like George Méliès's Journey to the Moon. This is a cool looking planet. Look, it's a planet with like it's like a crystal, like a globular crystal with some globular stuff. We have goo. Get some goo on your equipment, and it doesn't function as well. Goo transfers over. This Jamaica planet, and like when with the goo on planet, the thing is you can affect other people's equipment with goo, right? Look at this. This is like, oh, what the heck? There's a bunny planet, a freaking a. Bonnie planet, Bonnie planet, da 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 da. I mean, just saying. There's a mushroom planet we are talking about before. So I mean, we just have some crazy, wild flower planet. Some wild and crazy stuff. Look, squid planet, Squidward. This is what I look like after work with SpongeBob all day. All right, let's go. What we got here? There's a mech planet. This freaking just says it's a mechanized, underwater mechanized planet, and then just like this thing just looks cool. I mean, like that's the level of tackiness we are. We're also gonna do realism, tackiness and realism. That's what you're gonna do when you get like realistic space dragons. This is like these infernal planets. This little like Tyrannosaurus Rex guy in there, and then these just burning planets, burning all the planets. Let's see. But anyway, so there you go. This is my planet. This is and they get wackier off of this. This is just the cusp of wackiness. This is a planet that looks like a freaking like Tesla field. What we got from weird planets. Oh, that just looks like a core planet. It's a core and a dinosaur. And my recliner wants to kick my leg out. All right, so there we go. I did this. This is what I did over the past week. And I need to put more planets here. I'm gonna try to get my game designers on it. And what happens is Path of Exile, you have all these different nodes. Like I'll show you what it ended up looking like. It's gonna be one way. I'm not gonna have a Path of Exile backtrack, and it's not gonna be like very dynamic where you go, but like it's still there gonna be more nodes. So like end up looking like this here. Where's the talent tree? You gotta show a talent tree. Here we go. Talent tree. Boom. See this thing right here? Okay. There you go. So you power up here. You get this stat, this stat, this stat, this stat, and it goes around. They have like what 1,300 different ones. I'll have at least 1,600. But there's a multi-way. Mine's just one way. So reeling it back, I just explained what we're doing, what I did before, and what type of planets I have. So many planet types. I have to categorize them, right? But right now we're looking for Starfighter. Star types. Here's star types. Blue, white star. These are the hottest stars, making it extremely difficult to find habitable. Mineral rich, though. Okay, so there we go. We want to steal this, exactly. And it's not stealing because what happens is when you use your interface, like this is based on reality, right? They base this based on reality. And when people are used to stuff, and they do it. So this is barely able to support white. So blue is like more minerally. White's less minerally, more white. Yeah, so I was right. So where I said yellow star is probably like life thing. Yellow, yellow is like life and good minerals. Moderate. This is just this. An orange star is just a yellow star is deficient in minerals. It's like red star. So like a red star has nothing in it. So this is just it's just a bogus star. Brown star. Okay, brown star has like it's worse than red star. And Taurian dimension. All right, so uh, so this is like the minerals. You know, let's just do this as minerals. Mineral rich. Okay. And this table is good for me. 'Cause this is what I want. You know, to start with the stars. We can add more stars afterwards, but like you know, sometimes it's good to start with Master Ryan too. We're gonna have Kingdom Conquer, right? Planet Malchance. So that's pretty. All of them have except Brown have a chance of decent things. Okay. All right. What's the different planet? Planet, asteroid, giant. Up. It's like a gas giant planet. I like this table. This is a cool table. It's good. Something to start with. You know, something to start with. I'm probably not gonna use this gas giant thing, but like it says asteroid belt gas giant, and so there's planet gas giants and asteroids, and that's what we found out in the last series, is that there's terrestrial planets, and there's what is it, Jovian planets, gas giants basically. You know, I guess just big. I don't know, and then like you know, then asteroid belts. Okay, whatever. Names. I don't want to steal their names, although. Hmm. I don't know how it is. So these are just like Bongula. Like I mean, I'll be honest. This table is so tempting to like lift. I found it where like it's like all these. What was so I can't lift her. I can't lift her table. I mean, some of these names, Foo. Dude, I just name them after like freaking bands. You just enter Nirvana. Oh man, you're going close to a black hole sun in the Soundgarden nebula. Sorry. All right, we might have to do that. Systems after fans. Nirvana. Uh, oh god, man. I'm gonna steal these. I'm probably not gonna steal a lot of these. But I'm taking the whole. I'm lifting this whole thing. Oh, it even has the name for the stars. So, it's different stars at different times. I'm lifting this because I need to like be like you know I need to like be influenced by them. Like I might have to Google System like Soundgarden and maybe the Black Hole Sun. Okay, now we're like that's the type of tacky humor we have in my game. I'm gonna get my let's get some play in right here. Restaurants. 3 star types. Let's start 3 stars. Star types. I didn't play Master Ride 3. I heard it was not great. Uh, yes. Uh, star types. Those are types. You know what? NASA will probably give some information. Here, let's listen to this.
We've all heard about the stars and
I'm gonna get
witnessed
my.
their beauty
I'm getting
in the night
myself
sky since our childhood.
my.
Have you ever heard
Oh
about
no,
star
second star right there.
classification of stars? If your answer is no, then you have landed at the right place, because this video will touch upon this topic. Before going too deep, first let us understand what exactly we mean by stellar classification of stars. In astronomy, stellar classification is the classification of stars based on their spectral characteristics, i.e. relation between wavelength and some other variables. Stellar classification, scheme for assigning stars to types according to their temperatures as estimated from their spectra. For most of its active life, a star shines due to thermonuclear fusion of hydrogen into helium in its core, releasing energy that traverses the star's interior and then radiates into outer space. A star's life begins with the gravitational collapse of a gaseous nebula of material composed primarily of hydrogen along with helium and trace amounts of heavier elements. When the stellar core is sufficiently dense, hydrogen becomes steadily converted into helium through nuclear fusion, releasing energy in the process. According to the latest data, the observable universe contains 1 times 10 to the power 24 stars. The nearest one to our planet is our sun. Scientists have studied stars for quite a time now and divided them on the basis of their age and temperature. We will discuss one such classification today, which is the stellar classification of stars. Stars are classified by their spectra, the elements that they absorb, and their temperature. There are 7 main types of stars, in order of decreasing temperature: O, B, A, F, G, K, and M. We all see the stars twinkling, but have you ever wondered how do stars twinkle? To answer this, let's go back to our school days, where we were taught refraction of lights. Twinkling of stars is caused by the passing of light through different layers of a tempestuous atmosphere. But in reality, stars don't twinkle. They only appear as such because of the interaction between our eyes, stars, and Earth's atmosphere. The formation of a star is not a quick process. It takes
millions of years to form a star. Unless you're like freaking like in sync, and then you just like
which collapses due to gravity
shooting
in its
star.
nebula. Our universe has nebulas, in which new stars are being formed all the time, though we haven't observed much of these stars present in our infinite universe. But those which are observed give a good idea of their composition and properties. Now let's go back to the base of the topic, stellar classification.
I like this.
It is a scheme assigning stars their type on the basis of their temperatures, as calculated from their spectra. The classification of temperature is done on the basis of Wien's law regarding black body radiation.
I wonder if that's the blue, white,
Universally
yellow.
accepted system of stellar classification is a combination of 2 schemes. The Harvard system, which is based on the star's surface temperature, and the MK, i.e. Morgan-Keenan system,
Oh man,
which is based
the
on
Keenan.
the star's luminosity. The MK, also called Yerkes system, is
Key
the
and Peele
work
system?
of the American astronomers W.W. Morgan, P.C. Keenan, and a few others.
Keenan
It's
everywhere.
based on 2 sets of parameters: a refined version of the Harvard OM scale and a luminosity scale of grades 1 for supergiants, 2 bright giants,
To be honest, I had
3
better open
normal
before.
giants, 4 subgiants, and 5 main sequence or dwarf stars. Further specifications may be used, such as grade 1A for bright supergiants and grades 6 and 7 for subdwarfs and white dwarfs, respectively. In the Harvard system, the stars are classified as the hottest to coolest using letters
Oh,
such
the
as
hot and
O,
cool.
B, A, F, G, K, M, where O is the hottest, 25,000 Kelvin, and blue in color, and M is the coolest, 3,500 Kelvin, star which is red in
Do you
color.
want to be the hottest or the
Letters
coolest?
are further subdivided from hot to cool, an adapted and famous mnemonic for memorizing the sequence of stellar classification is, "Oh, be a fine girl, guy, kiss me." The hotter stars are
Girl guy?
sometimes referred to as early, and the cooler is late.
Cooler.
The discovery of brown
Oh yeah,
dwarfs,
cooler people are always late.
objects that form like stars but do not shine through thermonuclear fusion. The system of stellar classification has been expanded to include spectral types L, T, and Y. Now let's get to know about the classification in detail.
Let's talk about
Starting
stars,
with the letter
baby.
O-type stars are the hottest,
Oh.
luminous, and rarest of all main stars.
Oh, yeah.
They have very complicated surroundings, which makes the measurement of their spectra difficult. Most of the massive stars lie within this particular type. Because of their massive and giant size, they have very hot cores and burn through their hydrogen fuel very quickly.
Bigger, hotter.
So they tend to burn brighter and are the first stars to leave the main sequence. Their spectra have dominant lines of absorption and sometimes emission for He2 lines, neutral helium lines, and prominent ionized.
Cool.
Further subdivision includes O3, O7, O9, etc. Spectral type O7 is the point at which the two intensities are equal, and type O3 is the point at which line vanishes. Now comes the letter B. B-type stars are also very luminous and blue in color. Their spectra have natural helium lines and are very energetic. Their lifespan is relatively short, around 40 million years. Many stars that we can see from our naked eyes are of this type only. B-type stars are originated from an OB association that is related to giant molecular clouds. Now the question here is, what is an OB association? An OB association is a loose grouping of several thousand stars, a small fraction of which are spectral type O and B. B-type stars also produce B-type spectrum and is also detected in O and A shell stars. B stars are a heterogeneous set of stars with B spectral types and emission lines. According to the research, it was found that they can have a disk that can create emission lines. They are considered to be main sequence stars, but a number of subgiants and giant stars are also included. Next comes letter A. A-type stars
Remember,
are
A comes
young,
after S.
around a few 100 million years.
B.
They have masses ranging from 1.4 to 2.1 times the mass of the Sun, and surface temperatures between 7,112 Kelvin to 11,500 Kelvin. They appear bluish-white in color, very bright, and can be seen by our naked eyes. A-type stars don't have a convective zone or convective region, i.e. a region where a layer of star is unstable to convection, and as a result they lack strong stellar winds and are not able to bear magnetic dynamo. Research proved that gigantic planets formed around them are hard to detect using a certain method called Doppler spectroscopy. It is an indirect method for finding exoplanets, i.e. planets outside of the solar system, and brown dwarfs from their radial velocity measurements. Next is type F. F-type stars are moderately hot and yellowish-white in color, usually weighing between 1.0 and 1.4 times the mass of the Sun. Their temperature lies between 6,000 Kelvin to 7,600 Kelvin. It is also believed that life can also exist on this particular type.
Yeah, 'cause it's just
They
like
are
our
known
sun.
for emitting a large amount of light in the form of radiation, for example, UV radiation, which is harming our planet Earth. They are likely to represent the brightest and hottest main sequence stars that could possibly allow life. The best example of F-type stars is Polaris, i.e. the current northern pole star, a type F7, and is 430 light-years away. Next up we have letter G. G-type stars is Polaris, i.e. the current northern pole star, a type F7, and is 430 light-years away. Next up we have letter G. G-type stars are also called yellow dwarf and are yellow in color, and their weight is between 0.8 to 1.2.
G, 0.8 to 1 to 5. Yellow dwarf. Yellow dwarf.
5 times the mass of the Sun. They are currently believed to be 100 light-years away. Their surface temperatures are between 5,300 Kelvin and 6,000 Kelvin. Thus, G contains the yellow evolutionary void, i.e. it is an area in the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram where atmospheres of blue ward evolving super and hypergiants are moderately unstable. Thus, this type is unstable for supergiants to be. compared to hotter and brighter OBAF-type stars. G-type stars radiate more light towards the infrared end of the spectrum. The most famous G-type, G2-type star is the Sun. Each second, the Sun fuses approximately 600 million tons of hydrogen into helium in a process known as the proton-proton chain. 4 hydrogens form 1 helium, converting about 4 million tons of matter to energy. Apart from that, other known stars under this type is Alpha Centauri A, Tau Ceti, and 51 Pegasi. Next is Type K. K-type stars appear orange and are cooler than the Sun. Their range of temperature is between
It'd be cooler than our
3,500
sun, man.
Kelvin.
Sun's pretty cool. Okay. Cooler than the sun. I don't want to say that, man. Don't let it get out that there's something cooler than the sun out there, man. This is something with S and U. Alright, vitamin K. Fat soluble.
To 6,000 Kelvin. They are of intermediate size between M-type and G-type. The key interest for astronomers is to research this type to find life on this star because of their stability, small mass, greater heat zones, and they emit less UV rays. Also, the velocity of solar wind is not too much. Thus, they are the most approving stars to focus on the research for exoplanets and extraterrestrial life. The nearest K-type stars known are Epsilon Eridani, which is 10.5 light-years away, HD 192310 is 29 light-years away, Gliese 86 is 35 light-years away, and 54 Piscium is 36 light-years away. And the last we have is Type M. M-type stars, also known as red dwarfs, are the smallest and coolest red-colored star.
Yeah, we know
with
red
such
dwarf
low
is coolest.
luminosity that none can be seen by our naked eyes. Despite it being called the smallest, they too include some giant, supergiant stars, and hypergiant stars. The range of their surface temperature is from 2,400 Kelvin to 3,700 Kelvin. Red dwarf stars have masses from about 0.08 to 0.6 times that of the Sun. Lighter stars are more abundant in space than the heavier stars. That is why they are the most common and tend to live longer than usual. There are other extended spectral types that have also been included. A number of new spectral types have been taken into use from newly discovered types of stars. This is a basic video, so we will not include these extended spectral types. But if you want to know more about them, let us know in the comments section and we will make a new video only on these new spectral types. The basis of the current system of classification of spectral types began in the late 1800s and is still going on, and will carry for another few hundred or maybe more years because of its boundless, far-reaching description. Several spectral types, all previously used for non-standard stars in the mid-20th century, have been replaced during revisions of the stellar classification system. They may still be found in old editions of star catalogs. R and N have been subsumed into the new C class as CR and CN. Humans may eventually be able to colonize any kind of stellar habitat. This section will address the possibility of life arising around other stars. Stability, luminosity, and lifespan are all factors in stellar habitability. We only know of one star that hosts life, and that is our own. A G-class star with an abundance of heavy elements and low variability in brightness. It is also unlike many stellar systems in that it only has one star in it. In the coming future, we hope to explore these endless boundaries of cosmos. In this video, we have discussed about the above spectral types. And if you want to know more about some of the extended types, let us know in the comments section. What do you think about these spectral classes of stars? Did you know about them before? What did you...
It's Professor Dave. Let's check out some stars.
He knows a lot about the science stuff, Professor Dave.
Into clusters and superclusters. So what happened next? We can see a panorama of stars swirling around in galaxies, which have in turn collected into clusters and superclusters. So what happened?
I'll go fast at speed.
Will require that we learn more about stars and their characteristics, which determine the way we categorize them. So
He talks fast to begin with, so let's give him 1.5.
Stars in telescopes. We divided them into color classes: white, yellow, red, and deep red. This was later refined, and each color was broken up into letters: A to D for white, E to L for yellow, M and N for red. Later, it was realized that things made more sense if stars were categorized by surface temperature, but this letter system was retained because all the work to classify stars had already been done. So from hottest at around 25,000 Kelvin to coolest at around 3,500 Kelvin, we now have O, B, A, F, G, K, and M stars, a classification system called the Harvard system, which was developed by early astronomer
OBA.
This sequence of letters is rather intuitive, but to remember the order, we can use the following mnemonic. Oh, be a fine girl, kiss me. Feel free to replace girl with guy, depending on your persuasion. Or if you find the whole really serious, just make up your own, such as, omniscient beings are firing gigantic knowledge missiles. As we can't stick a thermometer into a star to see how hot it is, this classification, based on temperature, is actually derived from Wien's law regarding black body radiation, which we saw in the modern physics series, as well as other types of data, like emission spectra. We analyze the light we receive from a star and correlate it with a particular temperature, as well as with specific elements. The hotter the star, the more of the hydrogen and helium nuclei that have been stripped of their electrons, forming the phase of matter known as plasma. The hottest stars, O stars, show very little hydrogen because most of the hydrogen is without an electron and thus can't absorb and emit light. Helium is still able to retain one or both electrons, and thus we do see emission correlating with helium. Cooling down a little with A stars, suddenly hydrogen can hold on to an electron, so the spectrum changes. Getting cooler still, some bands show up that correspond with metals, like calcium. So the convention is derived from temperature, but this happens to correlate with color and size as well. Hotter objects, like O and B stars, are blue, and cooler objects, like K and M stars, are
Okay, like I said, it's good to have some general knowledge, because we are going to use the general knowledge.
with the additional heat resulting from the fact that so much more fuel is being burned.
We're not going to be all realistic, though, because it's a formation of all possible dimensional realities, like physics beyond our physics. So we will have stars made up of fairy dust and unicorn poop, and let's just go with it.
Shows temperature decreasing to the right. The vertical axis shows luminosity, or the amount of energy emitted by a particular star per unit time, increasing going up. We can see that the majority of stars fall on a continuous curve, which we call main sequence stars.
So
90% of all
this,
stars follow this trend, including our own sun, which is part of this yellow region here. Some stars, like red giants, are very cool yet luminous, while others, like white dwarfs, are very hot yet dim. But the majority belong to this main sequence.
white dwarfs,
Below
hot,
the diagram,
okay.
only
So here we go. So 90% normal, cooler, smaller, okay, some white dwarf. This is actually good. It's good knowledge. Some white dwarf, small, hot, and Beetlejuice. Cold but big. Okay, so that's good. This 90% thing right here, that's actually a very good value. We're looking for randomizers. I was putting on autoplay just because like I thought we were out of information, but this actually, this is pretty sweet right now.
temperature and luminosity. We can infer many things about the variables. Larger stars are always
30,000 to
more luminous, as
30,000.
more surface area means more energy emitted. We can also see color clearly correlating with temperature as we move from left to right. Size is also represented, with main sequence stars decreasing in size from left to right.
Alright,
Red giants and white dwarfs.
so go with, let's like 10,000 to logarithmic scale, logarithmic to 0.01, and it's like sun AU sun, that's sun atomic units. Oh no, luminosity sun, sun. And then temperature. We need to see the atomic unit. Well, it says that it's just bigger as you go up. So it's 30,000. So that's a good scale. Let's see atomic units. Need atomic units.
This data, collected by looking at hundreds of thousands of stars in the early 20th century, reveals certain facts about stars, such as the mass-luminosity relationship that we just described.
That was mass?
Why the blue stars in this corner of the main sequence burn brightest, getting dimmer as we go towards the smaller red stars. This has to do with the fact that the gravity crushing the star inwards.
Okay, where the mass is directly
so
to
larger
the
stars have to
AU.
generate much more outward pressure to prevent collapse. So that's some basic information about all the stars in the universe.
Atomic
Remember,
units.
for the main sequence, blue stars are big and hot and bright, up to about 100 to 200 solar masses.
200
One
AU.
to
Okay,
200
200.
times the mass of
200
the
AU.
sun. Red stars are small and cool and dim, down to around 1/10 the mass of our sun.
Okay,
Yellow
200
or orange,
AU.
these are about the size of our
Two
sun.
point.
Then
That's
beyond
what I
these
wanted.
stars, there are red giants and
Point
there
one.
are white dwarfs. Those are the three main classes of stars. Most of the stars
Red giant. So okay, the red giant. Okay, so that's cool. And then like there's all the things. The red giant, red, white dwarf, 0.2 to 1.3 spot. And then there's like Betelgeuse. There's like 0.3 to 8, and this is like red and cool. Cool. All right. So this is actually pretty decent information. 10% of these are those thingies, and okay, so that's good. That like when I proc gen, I know what the like freaking ranges do. This is actually huge. Yeah.
past, and most of the stars that exist today.
I wasn't gonna really watch it. I was just putting this on the side because like why not?
Will move between these categories over time. So
But
how
spectroscopy looks good.
stars eventually die. There
Right
is
here.
a lot to discuss here, so let's move forward and learn about the lifetime of stars. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to my
All
channel.
right, we're gonna spectrometry.
When you look up at the sky,
I work in scientific mass spectrometry place when I want.
They may have slightly different colors, but in essence, about the only thing you might notice is that some are brighter than others. But we can learn so much more about stars if we
I need to speed
analyze
this guy up a
the
little
light
bit.
from them.
You probably
In
might
this
not like
video,
it, but I do.
how astronomers use spectroscopy to determine four properties of stars: its composition, its temperature, density,
All right,
and
I'm gonna leave this guy in the
relativity.
background. Well, we'll leave him in the background. I'll probably slow him down a little bit.
Now, before we start, let's have a quick review of
I wanted
spectroscopy.
this to be
do have a
tame for you
video on
guys.
Introduction of spectroscopy. If you look at the link above,
That's too slow
and
for me.
also at the link at the end of the video, you'll know that light, of course, is made up of many wavelengths, many
Alright,
frequencies.
okay,
and if
that's
we
good for me.
spread out their wavelengths or spread out their
Tidal
spectrum, we get this
forces.
continuous spectrum from long wavelengths.
Alright,
to short wavelengths.
so
if we pass that light
pretty
through
stoked.
a gas, then certain
We are pretty stoked.
frequencies or certain
We have a
wavelengths of light are
framework.
absorbed by the gas, and we'll get the continuous spectrum minus these wavelengths. And so what we have here is an absorption spectrum. And in this case,
We'll put
these
this
are
on
the
loop.
lines that represent
turn
what
wire.
hydrogen would remove. If we were to allow the gas to heat up, it
Alright.
would emit that light.
So
It would be
nebulous.
only specific due
Actually, you know
to
what? We'll put this guy on the
this
side,
gas. So
and we'll open up a new one. YouTube. I want to see properties of nebula. Nebula properties. All right, nebula properties. Here we go. Oh, this guy just.
We learned all about star and galaxy formation, and how the period of time between 150 million years and 1 billion years after the Big Bang was the period in which hydrogen and helium
Turn this
created
guy's volume up a little bit.
generation of stars all over the universe. This process is ongoing, and any cloud of gas and dust, also called a nebula, can produce stars today, which is why large nebulae are referred to as stellar nurseries. To be clear, when we say gas, we are referring to hydrogen and helium, which is most of the matter in the universe, since it came about during Big Bang nucleosynthesis.
We're gonna have aero nebulas and aqua nebulas. Aero nebulas.
We are referring to all the heavier elements, the ones that must be fused inside stars, which were first introduced to interstellar space when the first stars began to go nova and supernova, spewing their contents
All right,
into
whatever.
the cosmos.
I'm
Gas and dust
gonna
collide by
design.
gravitational collapse to form a new star. This will be accompanied by a protoplanetary disk, and this is the material from which planetary systems form. Nebulae and protoplanetary disks are fascinating objects that we can study with telescopes, and a number of nebulae are very well-known objects. So let's take a look at some of these now. One of the most famous of these structures is called the Pillars of Creation, which reside in the Eagle Nebula, around 7,000 light-years from Earth. It is quite important to get a sense of the immensity of this object, as well as a more thorough impression for clarity. To establish scale, this leftmost column is about 4 light-years long, the distance from the Sun to the nearest other star. And these little wisps along the edges are larger than our entire solar system. These structures are hotbeds of starbirth, hence their name, and there are many others in the galaxy that perform the same function. Now let's go and find another nebula. This time we will zoom in on a familiar constellation, Orion, the Hunter, one of the best known and most recognizable constellations. If we head towards the middle star in Orion's sword, we find the Orion Nebula. At only a bit over 1,300 light-years away, it is visible to the naked eye, and the closest region of active star formation to our own system. Because it is so close, it is a great source of information regarding star formation. Within the Orion Nebula, we can see protoplanetary disks and gather knowledge regarding system formation. We can also look here to better understand how nebulae get their interesting shapes, since new stars generate lots of radiation upon their birth, which we call stellar wind, and this stellar wind can sculpt nearby gas and dust, as well as compact certain regions to aid in the formation of other stars. This is particularly noticeable with another structure near Orion, which is called the Horsehead Nebula. Many nebulae are given creative names in this manner in addition to their NGC, or New General Catalog Number, like this structure called the Cat's Paw Nebula, another star-forming region around 5,000 to 6,000 light-years away. This nebula is what is referred to as an emission nebula, so let's now look at the types of nebulae so we can know what this means. Emission nebulae are ones that glow brightly. This is due to the radiation from newborn stars, which not only heats up the gas and dust, but also ionizes it, and all of this hot, ionized gas emits lots of visible light. By contrast, a reflection nebula is one that does not emit a lot of light, but rather reflects light from nearby stars.
Double planets.
Emission nebulae and reflection nebulae are both types of diffuse nebulae, meaning they don't have a well-defined shape. They are just amorphous clouds of gas and dust. A third type of diffuse nebula is called dark nebulae. These do not emit or reflect much light, like the other two types, but instead become noticeable because of the way they block light from luminous objects behind them, which makes them appear as dark, opaque clouds. The Horsehead Nebula is an example of a dark nebula. So that covers diffuse nebulae, which can be very large, many of which act as stellar nurseries. But there are also much smaller nebulae that form as the result of a specific event involving the lifetime of a star. One such type of nebula would be a supernova remnant. When very high-mass stars run out of fuel, they explode in a supernova, as we learned in a previous tutorial. The expanding shell of gas and dust forms a beautiful expanding structure, such as this one, which is called the Crab Nebula. This object is the result of a supernova that was visible in the sky in the year 1054 and remained visible for about 2 years, as is documented by Chinese and Arabic civilizations. Now all that is left is this nebula and the neutron star at the center, remnants of the star that once was. By contrast, when low-mass stars die, they will leave behind a planetary nebula. This happens when stars like our own sun reach the red giant phase and eventually eject their outer layers to leave behind a white dwarf. This is nowhere near as explosive as a supernova, but it leaves behind a beautiful nebula all the same. Some examples of planetary nebulae include the Cat's Eye Nebula, the Oyster Nebula, the Helix Nebula, and the Ring Nebula. Finally, there are even protoplanetary nebulae, which are short-lived and form during a specific stage in the stellar life cycle, between the late Now all that is left is this center. They will leave behind a planetary nebula, giant outer, but it leaves behind the nebula. Finally, life cycle. This stage, past, our, and as
So I don't know. They didn't really give much information what nebula was. Okay. Yeah.
Within the cloud, such as water, formaldehyde, alcohol, and
Yeah, water.
other trace elements.
Oh my god, an alcohol nebula.
Alcohol and other trace elements, but they're
I'm
mostly
sorry.
hydrogen. Now, before we dive into different types
I
of
just see
nebulae,
this guy in
and
space,
singular
Bender
versions of this word,
in
just so
space,
there's no
the
confusion.
alcohol
When we talk
nebula.
about a nebula, that's when we're looking at one specific nebula. So that's a singular version of this word.
Nebula.
Nebulae, that means that is plural. So more than one nebula, we say nebulae.
Alcohol? A nebula made of alcohol? Dude, that's too good.
Such as absorption, reflection, and emission. These are known to be diffuse nebulae, so they do not have a definitive shape. In fact, they're often named after objects that they resemble. The other types of nebulae include planetary nebulae and supernova remnants, and the shape of these nebulae are typically spherical in structure. Now,
So spherical. Okay, so spherical ones.
Include planetary, absorption, reflection, and emission. These are known to be diffuse nebulae, so they do not have a definitive shape. In fact, they're often named after objects that they resemble. The other types of nebulae include planetary nebulae and supernova remnants.
So like
The shape of these nebulae are typically spherical in structure.
spherical
And take a look at what these different types of nebulae look like.
nebula.
The first one that we're going to examine is called an absorption nebula. And
Random.
the way this one works is that it is such a dense dark cloud that light cannot pass through it. It just absorbs that light that is passing through it. And the classic example of an absorption nebula is a Horsehead Nebula, which is located in Orion, right near the Belt and Sword. And as you can see, there's no definitive shape. It's not spherical. It can be considered to be asymmetrical. But many nebulae are named after what they resemble. And if you take a look at this, you can sort of see how it would resemble a horse's head.
It feels like a golem with arms.
The Dark Nebula or Absorption Nebula is a snake
Dark
nebula, and this one is located in the constellation called Ophiuchus. And you can just see here that this cloud of gas and dust is just so thick that light cannot pass through it.
Give me a second.
The next type of nebula is called an emission nebula, and these are clouds of gas and dust that are glowing brightly due to fluorescence. So inside this cloud of gas and dust, there are tiny stars that are starting to be born, and what this does is...
So on the back of my mind, it's like...
And the Orion Nebula, in the constellation of Orion...
So there's Dark Nebula and Bright Nebula.
And where would you find this? If you would look at the belt stars of Orion right here, the Orion Nebula sits right in his sword, and there are other spectacular nebulae right around the belt stars as well. In fact, this is where
how do I generate nebula?
Here are some other great examples of emission nebulae. To the left, we have the North America Nebula. This is
Good Unity.
Cygnus.
I think like how to make this Unity.
It does resemble the continent of North America. But even cooler, on the right is called the Ghost Nebula, and this is located in the constellation Cepheus.
Cepheus.
It's so cool how you have this cloud, and inside of it you have a little baby star, and that star is...
Oh, little baby star.
Hey,
little baby star.
So again, another example of how we are naming things after what they resemble, and even here, these kind of look like little ghosts coming out as well. The third type of diffuse nebulae, or irregular shaped nebulae, would be the reflection type. And this is unique in the sense that it is illuminated. This cloud of gas and dust is illuminated by the glow of nearby stars. And typically, reflection nebulae are more blue in color because the dust tends to scatter blue light more effectively than red. So typically, these nebulae are more
reflection nebula.
Cluster located in the constellation Taurus is a classic example of this type of nebulae.
This is actually interesting.
The next nebula I'd like to share with you is called the Trifid Nebula, also known as Messier 20. And this one is very interesting because it is a rare combination of the three types of diffuse nebulae that exist. So when we're looking at this picture, we're looking towards the center of the
Dark Nebula.
Right through the constellation Sagittarius.
Reflection.
Your attention to this area, and this is the part of the picture that we're going to zoom in, and this is what we find. So the Trifid Nebula shows each type of diffuse nebulae that exists. So the dark portions, all right in here, that is considered an absorption nebulae, or a dark nebula. And then the pink areas all throughout here, this would be considered to be an emission nebula. And then up here,
reflection.
The area is considered to be...
No, I learned something, dude. Like you... unfortunately, I learned today.
This is one of those few spots in the sky that just definitely attracts many different types of astronomers because you get to see three types in one specific astronomical object. So just to recap so far, we have explored the diffuse types of nebula, the ones that do not have a definitive shape. Those were absorption, reflection, and emission. Now let's go ahead and look at the types of nebulae that do have a definitive shape. Our the first type of spherical nebulae are the planetary nebulae, but the name is slightly misleading because these types of nebulae have nothing to do with planets. And they were first named when William Herschel in 1785 observed these through a telescope, and he thought that they looked very similar to the spherical shape of a planet. So that's why they were named planetary nebulae. But in fact, this object is really a dying star in the end stages of its life, and this is eventually
Dying star.
So this star right here in the center is not truly
This
a
is
star
like
anymore because
Elvis
it's
when he
out of
went
the fusion.
fat.
It's run out of hydrogen and helium and all the elements it was fusing at one time in its core, and this is all that's left is this little white dwarf star. It's the hot leftover core of a main sequence star, regular type star. And these outer layers
I'm sorry, I'm interested. I went from doing what I was doing to like, this person really teaches well. Okay, hold on. Nebula generator in Unity. Okay, I need nebulas. I guess I need like star systems.
This is the Eskimo nebula right here.
What else do you see up in the sky?
You probably see why it has that name.
What do you see in the sky then?
Eskimo with its hood up. And then we have the
Besides stars,
located in Vulpecula, which is known as
stars, nebula,
to go back to this one. This is known as
and other visible. Right now we're
it's called a supernova remnant, and these are some of the coolest looking nebulae that exist. So how these formed is that these are the leftover remains of a supernova explosion, and you can really just tell from this picture that this really looks like it was blown to smithereens. Everything is moving outwards from the center, and typically within these supernova remnants there are pulsars inside of there, so hot neutron stars that are spinning very, very rapidly and often send out radio signals. And the one that we're looking at here is called the Crab Nebula, located in Taurus. And let's take a look at where that would be. So if you're Orion right down here, and you use about stars to help you find the V-shaped face of Taurus, and then you come down.
What do you see? Deep sky objects.
Is located right near the tip of the horn in
Types of nebula.
So what's interesting about supernovas is that this is the celestial event that occurs when all
We just
elements
thought
of
supernova remnant, planetary nebula,
do not have
galaxy, regular galaxy, globular clusters, open star clusters.
The largest element that any star could form is iron. And once iron starts to form inside of a star, it becomes unstable, and iron starts to absorb the energy, therefore causing it to be unstable.
So star clusters. Okay, star clusters are, I call them star sectors. Well, star sectors are things. Star clusters are a system, a bunch of star systems, right? So, star clusters, okay. Mission nebula, reflection nebula, absorption nebula,
They're diffuse. They do not have a definitive shape, and if they do have a shape, sometimes
group of
they reflect
stars.
that shape, like the Horsehead Nebula, which is considered to be a dark nebula in the sense that it's really absorbing the light that is surrounding it. Because the clouds are so
Supernova remnant.
We also have reflection nebulae, and these are the ones that are reflecting the light from nearby stars. The dust that is located within the cloud is scattering the light, causing that blue color. And then the final diffuse type of nebula are
Supernova. Oh, supernova. That's that one. So we got visible objects. Visible objects.
Hot, and it causes all the gas inside to glow due to fluorescence. Now we have the spherical type shape, and that one would be the planetary nebulae. And these are the nebulae that are dying. They're at the end of their life, throwing off all the outer layers. But they have this very unique, sometimes almost a series of rings around rings with each other.
Cool.
And even though they're named planetary nebulae, they do not have anything to do with planets. They just inherited that name because at one time astronomers thought it looked like a planet. And then finally we have supernova remnants, and these are violent reactions of a dying star in which pretty much the whole thing was blown apart. Many different elements were created.
Supernova.
And it also creates a super cool shape, and often there are little pulsars inside of here, little neutron stars that are spinning.
Supernova remnant. Okay.
Thank you so much for watching. If you have any other interest about constellation or different types of celestial objects that exist out there, feel free to subscribe to my channel. And I encourage you to keep going outside, observing the stars, and then as you start to learn the sky, share with
this is super cool.
and inspire them to go outside as well. Thanks for watching.
Okay, so visible. Oh, dude, since my universe is made up of like fairy dust and unicorn poop, I need to figure out other new objects that are not just like stars, nebulas, and remnants, and all that stuff. Super cool. Super, super, super cool. Super cool is cool. Is super cool. So nebula properties, visible objects in space. And obviously there'll be comments and stuff, and those remote objects defies all logic. I mean, like, I kind of want to see objects. What do you see? Visible space objects. In. Visible space objects. Alright, what we got here? Oh. What do you see? Like, oh, here we go. Deep sky. Tell you.
Hi there, Mikhail is here.
Let me guess. You have bought your first telescope and you want to find out what you will be able to see through it. Am I right?
No.
What do you mean no? I said yes. But anyway, today we're going to find out which deep sky objects we can see using this small telescope as an example. Its aperture is just 70 millimeters, and on Amazon it costs only $90. A perfect option for us. But you must remember one very important thing. I'm going to show you the views of the deep sky objects that we can see with our own eyes. Not this beautiful astrophotography
spiral
just our eyes.
galaxy.
Okay, let's get
We
started.
are doing
It will be very interesting.
types of galaxies. Oh.
But before the video, please don't forget to subscribe. Only your support helps me to make more videos. Thank you. And now we are going to consider the easiest deep sky objects for beginners. They are very bright and it is very easy to find them. Also, I will show you them in different light pollution areas. One image in a big and polluted city, and the second one in a small and dark village. Let's start with the homeland of Elon Musk, and now I'm talking about the Andromeda Galaxy. It is not very hard to find this galaxy, but it is visible to the naked eye only in the dark night sky. In a big city, we will be able to see this. Yes, this is the Andromeda Galaxy. We can see its bright core, but nothing else. Everything is getting better when we are
observing it clusters, star clusters will look like it.
This dim cloud is much brighter, and if you will be a lucky one, you can try to see its two brightest satellite galaxies, Messier 32 and Messier 110.
So,
there is one cool tip for astronomers. When you observe a deep sky object, look not
alright, so globular clusters,
then you will use your
orbital galactic core.
The next object is visible to the naked eye even in a very big city. Meet Messier 45 or the Pleiades. The star cluster contains hundreds of stars. Sometimes people even confuse this cluster with a Little Beer constellation because it is very similar to it. In the countryside area, we will be able to see even more stars. Unfortunately, this nebulosity in the left picture we can't see through a small telescope. But even so, this object is one of the most gorgeous in the night sky. The next deep sky object you know for sure, because just like Elon Musk, it is the most beautiful thing you have ever seen. Meet the Orion Nebula. It is visible to the naked eye even in the light-polluted area, and in the night sky, it looks like a very dim gray cloud. Through a small telescope, it is not hard to spot the nebula's wing-like appendages and other faint features. If we will move to a countryside area, the Orion Nebula will become much brighter, showing us more details. By the way, in this dim center of the nebula now are forming brand new stars. Yes, literally right now. It's like a maternity hospital, but only for the celestial objects. On the 16th of November 1974 was sent the interstellar radio message named Arecibo. It was carrying basic information about humanity and Earth. Its destination point is the Hercules Globular Cluster. The celestial object is visible very far from big cities. Through a small telescope, it looks like a dim blurry patch of light, but the larger the telescope, the more stars we can see. In the dark countryside sky, the Hercules Globular Cluster is much brighter, but even there it looks like a bright gray spot. The last deep sky object that we are going to consider actually consists of two deep sky objects, NGC 869 and NGC 884. Together they make up the double cluster. It is visible to the naked eye even in the light polluted area. If you want to see more details, you need to go away from the city lights.
Alright, well, I think I've exhausted what I needed to learn. To G-generation. Oh, listen to this guy with spectrometry. So I got everything, all the information I wanted to gather. We got basically, these are visible objects. Just basically like glob clusters.
And before we look at the chemical composition of, let's say, our sun, let's
spatial cluster.
We have here three emission spectra.
Star cluster. Call them star clusters.
Here we have calcium, and here we have mercury. And we'll see that the pattern
Don't want to make up new definitions that people will use later.
Sort of like the fingerprint for each of these elements, because each of these elements remove very specific frequencies, if it's an absorption spectrum, or emit very specific frequencies.
Hold on. I'm stressing. Listen to Pineapple on the street. Oh my god. So, I need to organize my thoughts.
That is a little cooler than the surface of the sun.
So,
is going to remove
blue, the white,
particular wavelengths depending on the chemical composition.
RGB.
Now, this set of lines, often referred to as the Fraunhofer lines, they don't represent a single particular chemical. There's a whole series of chemicals that are causing this. But if you know the positions, you can determine which chemicals they are. So, for example, if we look at G over here, we look at F over here, and C over here, these are all lines that are associated with hydrogen. And that's not surprising because our star
purple.
ultimately is mainly hydrogen. If we look at
G,
these
purple.
sets of lines here,
let's go back to
that's indicative of helium. And again, that's not surprising because hydrogen is being fused into helium.
Oh, this is actually,
process of which the
dude, hold on. It's actually really good for me.
But there are a whole series of other elements here. I'm not going to go into great details, but for example, K and H over here are indicative of the presence of calcium ions. So if you know what wavelengths are absorbed by...
Okay, so K and H. B. What the heck? Chemical. What? I was lied to. A. Purple. See, that's not right. I guess this must be the other system. So purple. I'll just say purple. I'll just hot to cold. I'll just hot to cold. Is this RGBIV? RG red, orange, red, orange, red, orange, yellow, G, blue, indigo, violet. Yeah, it's really GBIV. Okay, that's the wavelength of things. So, colder is royal. I say cold to hot. Roy GBIV. Alright, there you go. I kind of want to know the color of the stars. And then this what happens, the hotter ones are generally bigger. So that's nice that the violet ones are bigger because like that ultraviolet, ultraviolet. Ultra big violet, I don't know. It's trying to force a clockwork orange on a violet.
Chemical composition of a star by simply analyzing its absorption spectrum. Now, before we look at temperature from a spectroscopy perspective,
super cool.
we need to quickly look at what we refer to as a blackbody curve. And what really this look at what we refer to as a blackbody curve. And what really this is represent every red to the velocities. Wavelength, you'll see this. And these spectral classes were developed.
Ooh, that's what I'm talking about. Actually, O. Where's my O is at? Where's my O at? I don't even have an O. Where's my M? Don't have an O. Okay, M. 100. Blue. B. Okay. So my O. 30K. Okay. And then the B is 10 to 30. 10 to 30K. And my A. Ooh, 7,000, 5,000. Ooh, we have that. Ooh, where's your play? 7,000. Okay. This is a bigger range. My guy's giving me a bigger range. 6,000 to 7,600. Yeah. But geez. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, O is violet. Violet. And blue is B. B for blue. A for white. And then we got yellow white. That's really weird. Where yellow white. And then it's a yellow dwarf. It's a G. It's just yellow. I already had yellow white. Look at that. Look at this. We're getting some redundant information. K is light orange. And then M is a red dwarf. Bingo bango. We got our information is now compiling. I want to speed this guy up a little bit. He gets a good table so you can chat.
So analyzing the spectral
Ooh.
lines
Hold on.
calcium lines, let's say an F.
I want to listen to this actually. This guy, like when they have charts like this, you just go through it real fast.
Classes of stars. Now the numbers here represent subclasses or subgroupings of those classes. So for example, A class, which is of a particular temperature, can be divided anywhere between A0 and A9. And so therefore here we have two A class stars. So A5 is slightly cooler than let's say A0. What you'll notice here is that the absorption lines are not all the same. So if we analyze the absorption lines of a star, we can determine more in detail the temperature of that star, because certain temperatures have certain features in terms of their absorption lines. The first thing I want to show you is that if you want to look at the A-class star, you'll see that our hydrogen lines here and here and here are significantly strong. And so that's one of the hallmarks of an A-class star. They have very strong hydrogen lines, but weaker in other lines. If we look at O and F, there we'll notice that the hydrogen lines are there, but they're somewhat weaker. But how do we differentiate between our O stars and our F stars if they're weaker ones? Well, we now have calcium lines here, which are now stronger. So one of the hallmarks of, let's say, an F-class star is we have weak hydrogen lines, but we have stronger calcium lines. You'll notice that the calcium lines in the O-class star is significantly weaker. If we then go to G-class stars, you'll see that the hydrogen lines are weaker again. But now you'll also start to get obviously strong calcium lines, but also some other metals appearing as well. And you can see these fine lines here. And that is because the temperature is lower, and so we'll find that the energy for the elements required to absorb and re-emit light is of the right level for it to occur. So you'll see that certain elements are visible here, which aren't visible at all up here. If we go cooler still, then calcium becomes significantly stronger. So one of the hallmarks of a K-class star is that the calcium lines are at their strongest. And then we get to M-class stars. Here the temperature is so low that even molecules can exist and absorb and re-emit. And so you'll notice here that not only do we have lines of elements, but then we also have lines of titanium oxide, for example. So in that case, these cool stars, you can see have lots of absorption lines, and that's only found in the relatively cooler stars. So analyzing the spectral lines, collisions in that photosphere, and these are particular lines, or minor, stars moving the blue. That is order. And so that covers the rotational is that is rotational motion. Now moved. Now the next dense and compact white dwarf, you can see that this. Now the next thing I want to look at is translational motion. What do I mean by that?
Sorry, I'm learning stuff.
Towards you or away from you. And can we tell whether a star is moving towards you or away from you?
I don't care about that.
Analyzing its spectra. And we can.
Yeah, it's I know that redshift. Yeah, we got that.
Rotational motion.
Rotational motion.
Of course, isn't stationary. It's also going to be rotating. Now, if it's going to be rotating, what does that do to the spectra? Moving in that direction is just going to give us a normal wavelength of light, like so. However, this far end here is moving away from you, so that's going to give us a little bit of a redshift. So in other words, the wavelength is going to be a little bit longer. However, the lower margin is moving towards you, which means we're going to get a much shorter wavelength. Well, not much shorter wavelength, but definitely shorter. But you're going to get all.
So you tell which way it spins.
So this line
you can tell which way it spins.
To not move one way
That's super cool.
or the other, but it's going to move both. And that means the lines become slightly broader. Now, this is not fuzzier, this is simply broader or fatter lines. And that's again indicative of the rotational motion.
That's super cool.
So
that's super cool.
How much broader the lines are, we can determine how much the star is rotating by.
And what direction too.
For example. And of course, both can happen at the same time. So if you find that the lines are broader, but also shifting, let's say, towards the red, then the star is not only rotating, but it is also moving away from you as well. And so that covers 4 key concepts. Now you should be familiar with how we can determine composition, density, temperature, and motion.
Oh, super cool.
Analyzing their spectrum. Thanks.
Oh man. All right, so that's super cool. Okay, so. Alright, more 10 moons, moons. Let's look for moon characteristics. I'm learning so much, but I'm getting exhausted. You can get exhausted with by learning. For different moons. The moon. I want to like put minus the moon. I want moons. Full moon minus full moon. Minus full moon. Moons characteristic. Moons. Types of moons. What the heck? This is the most ugly moon ever. I've seen it before. I think it's like it's Io. This is Io. What an ugly moon. It looks like someone has moldy bread. Stupid. That's gonna be funny. Types of moons. Types of moons. I'm just trying to. I'm super chill right now. So much that I can learn right now. Let's take a break. So I'm gonna do this all day. Trying to find moon information. Come on, dude. This is not. This is not types. This is just one moon. Uh. I'm watching TikTok. No, I'm not. Moon. Different. Let me Google this. Types of moons. New moon. Oh, dang it. I don't care about the freaking moon. Like, not Earth. Not Earth. Types of moon. Damn it, man. 12. Hmm. They're made of rocks. All right, good enough. All right, so we got moons. I'm just double check. I'm doing the science stuff, do a little bit of science stuff, and then we're done. Science large, blah 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 blah. Good, we're done. We're done. Uh, Gathered way more information than I needed. Actually, I'm cultured, but I'm at the point where like I'm mentally exhausted from learning things. I learned a lot of stuff. I'm a physicist. I already had a base knowledge. Unfortunately, this is the thing I wanted the most. Is Master of Ryan. So we got a framework. I need a break like no other. Like I need a break. Um, hooked on a feeling. You see, I'm just slowing down. planets. We got all sorts of crazy planets. So we got what normally space does. We got normal space stuff like the ranges of temperature, size, and color, and intensity, intensity, color, size, blah blah blah. And so that we keep that within the size parameters. That's important to have. We don't want all these big, like cool suns and small burning suns. Keeps the ratio generally normal, and that's all the science I need. And then I have to figure out how to make a nebula in space. Oof. All right. All right. That'll be it.